Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to another knitting tutorial. This is going to be the second of our holiday tutorials, and the last one, I think. And today we're going to learn to knit a cute little holiday ornament. So you can see here I have a few different ornaments. We have this cute little sweater that's on like a little wire hanger. We have a glove. This is actually a keychain, but I use it as an ornament because I think it looks cute hanging on my tree. And then we have these little socks, and these are what we're going to learn how to make today. Our little sock ornaments. So these are all really cute because you can make them with scrap yarn, so you can use whatever yarn you have lying around, and they knit up really quick. So if you just need something like a stocking stuffer, a little gift for somebody, for a friend, a family member, or if you just want an ornament for your own tree, these ones are very cute and very easy to do. So let's go ahead and get started. For today's knitting tutorial, we're going to need some yarn. We're going to use fingering weight yarn or sock weight yarn. Then we're going to need some double pointed knitting needles, 4 of them. I'm going to use these wooden ones. They're size 1, 2.25 millimeter needles. You can use whatever needles you prefer, whatever double pointed needles. You could probably also do these in magic loop. But generally, because we're knitting very small size ornaments, we're going to want some thinner yarn, so fingering weight yarn, and smaller needles. Otherwise your ornament's going to be very large. So you can see our little tiny leg shaping up nicely. We're going to continue knitting in stockinette stitch, probably for about, I would say like 2 inches maybe. This looks like about 2 inches. So we're going to knit until our leg is about this long, or however long you want your sock leg to be. Okay, so now we have the leg of the sock about as long as I would like to have it. You can go longer if you want it, or shorter. It's up to you. Very customizable. But now we're going to start knitting the heel. And so now you'll see why I arranged my stitches the way I did. So we're going to knit the heel flap across these 10 stitches, and these 10 are going to remain on hold for the foot. So for a heel flap, you can knit the heel flap however you wish. I actually think that for this one, I did a slip stitch heel flap, you can see. So kind of like I would for a normal sock, but I think in this case I'm actually just going to knit the heel flap in stockinette, because we don't need to do a slip stitch heel. It's not like anyone's going to be wearing the sock. So we're going to begin by slipping the first stitch, and then we're going to knit across. So we're going to slip all of the side stitches on our heel flap. You'll see what I mean. Okay, so that's our first row, and now we're going to turn our work. And we're going to purl this row. So we're going to slip the first stitch, and then we're going to purl. Just purl 9 stitches all the way across. And now we're going to turn our work again. We're going to slip our first stitch and then knit across 9 stitches. I would say we're going to do this for about an inch, a 1 and 2 flap. So we're going to slip our first stitch and then purl across the rest of them. And we're going to continue doing these 2 rows until our heel flap is a sufficient length. Slip our first stitch and then knit across. So this will be the last row of our heel flap. There's a purl row, we're ending with a wrong side row. So we're getting ready to knit a right side row. And it looks like this is about 1 inch long. Like I said, there's really no need to be exact here. You can just kind of eyeball it because nobody's going to be wearing the sock. It's for decoration, so no need to measure, no need to count your rows or whatever. Okay, so at this point we're going to turn the heel. So now we're going to turn our heel. We're going to begin by slipping 1, and then we're going to knit 4, 2, 3, 4. We're going to knit 2 together, and then knit 1. We have 2 stitches remaining here, and now we're going to turn our work because we're knitting short rows. We're going to begin by slipping the first stitch, and then we're going to purl 1, just 1. Then we're going to purl 2 together, purl 2 together, or decrease, purl 1, and we have 2 stitches remaining here as well. Now we're going to turn our work again. We're going to slip our first stitch and knit 2 to 1 before our gap. Here's our gap. We're going to knit 2 together, closing the gap, and then knit 1. That's it. Now we're going to turn our work once more to close the gap on the last side. We will slip 1, and then we're going to purl 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we have our gap, and we're going to close our gap by purling 2 together, and then purl 1. And that is our heel turn, our little baby heel turn. So as you can see, we've decreased 4 times. So we've decreased from 10 stitches to 6. So now we have 6 stitches on our heel. So now we're going to slip 1 and knit across our heel flap. And then we're going to pick up the stitches for our sock. Now I'm actually going to stop for a second, and I'm going to move these stitches all onto one needle so I have my extra needle to knit with. So I'm just going to slip 5 stitches from the left needle to the right needle. So these 10 stitches will be for the top of our foot. Now we're going to pick up the stitches on the side of our heel flap. So we'll begin by inserting our needle under the first V and bringing up a loop. Insert our needle under the second V, knit to pull up a loop. Do this a few more times. 3, Sorry, I just hit the camera. 4, 5. We're going to do it, I think, 7 times. 6, 7. The amount of stitches you pick up will be based on how many slip stitches are in the side of your heel flap. We could pick up a stitch also in here to make sure there aren't any holes, but this is just an ornament, so I really don't care about that. So we're just going to leave it. Now we're going to knit 10 across the top of our foot. Eight, 9, 10. And now we're going to pick up 7 over here. So we'll start in here, in our first V, pick up a knit, insert into the second V, pick up a knit, into our third V, pick up a knit, pick up a knit, 3 more times. So we're going to have 7 stitches on this side of the heel flap too. Whoops. And here's our last stitch to pick up. So you can see we have all of our stitches picked up. And now we're going to knit 3 from this needle. So half of the stitches from our heel flap, and then the remaining 3 we're just going to slip onto this needle. So that way each of these needles now has 10 stitches on it. So we have 10, 10, and 10. And again, your stitch count may vary depending on how many stitches you cast on or how many stitches you did for your heel flap. So, and how many stitches you picked up. So your stitch count may or may not be exactly 30, and that's fine. But what we're going to do now is we're going to knit our gusset, and we're going to decrease from 30 stitches back down to 20, which is what we started with. And so how we're going to do that, of course, is by decreasing on each of these side needles. The top of the foot will have 10 stitches again. So we're going to decrease each of these from 10 stitches down to 5. And we're going to do it like this. So we will knit, we're going to knit 7, and now you can see we have 3 stitches remaining. So now we're going to knit 2 together, and then knit 1. And that's our first decrease. And then here we're going to knit across all 10 stitches. And here on this needle we're going to decrease again. So we're going to knit 1, and then we're going to do a slip, slip, knit, which is our decrease, and then we're going to knit to the end of the needle, which is 7 more stitches. So that was our first round, and now we're going to knit an even round, which means we're going to knit a round without decreasing. So we're just going to knit across all the stitches and not complete any decreases here. So once again, I'm going to knit a decrease round. So I'm knitting 6 here, or until 3 stitches before the end of the needle. Those two are kind of stuck together. So here's 3 before the end. Now I'm going to knit 2 together, and then knit 1. And then I've decreased. Now I'm going to knit 10 across the top of the foot. And here I'm going to decrease by knitting 1, doing a slip slip knit, and then knitting 6, or knitting to the end of the needle. I'm going to repeat those 2 rounds, a decrease round and an even round, until I have 5 stitches left on each needle, or 20 stitches total. So for me, that'll be 6 more rounds, 3 decrease rounds and 3 even rounds. All right, so I think this is good. So now we can begin decreasing for our toe. So for our toe, we're going to knit 3, and then knit 2 together. And then on this needle, we're going to knit 2 together, and then knit to the last 2 stitches, and then we're going to knit 2 together again. I'm just going to do all knit 2 togethers here, because I don't really care what way it slants. And then here, we're going to knit 2 together, and then knit to the end of the needle. Now we'll do 1 round even. So we're just going to knit all of the stitches without decreasing. So at this point we have 16 stitches on our needle because we decreased 4 stitches last round. And knit 4 here. Okay, so now we're going to decrease again. We're going to knit 2, knit 2 together, now here we're going to knit 2 together, then knit until we have 2 stitches remaining, and then knit 2 together again. Here we're going to knit 2 together, and then knit 2. So now we have 12 stitches on our needle. We're going to once again knit just an even round without decreasing. So we're just going to knit around all 12 stitches without decreasing, only knitting. It takes considerably less time now that there are only 12 stitches on our needles. Okay, and then for our final decrease round, we're going to knit 1 and then knit 2 together. So we have only 2 stitches on this needle. Now here we're going to knit 2 together. If I can do it correctly. Apparently I can't. There we go. Now we're going to knit 2. So we have 2 stitches remaining. And then knit 2 together. Four stitches on this needle. And here we're going to knit 2 together. Knit 1. We're done with this needle, so we can just put that to the side. And now we're going to knit these 2 stitches right onto this needle. So you can see our little baby sock. How cute. So at this point, we're done with that needle as well. We can cut our yarn here. And now we're going to use Kitchener stitch to graft our sock toe. Now, if you really hate Kitchener stitch, you do not have to use it here. You could use something like a 3 needle bind off to bind off the stitches here, because again, it's not like we're wearing it. It's not like, I guess unless you're knitting this for a child, a very small child, or like a, I don't know. Anyhow, so you could use a 3 needle bind off here as well, but I'm going to use Kitchener stitch. So we've put the cut end of our yarn through our yarn needle. Now, I'm not going to like go really into depth with Kitchener stitch just because I've done it in another tutorial, but we're gonna go as if to knit on the front needle and slip it off of the needle, and then go through the next stitch as if to purl and leave it on the needle. Sorry. On the back needle, we're going to go through as if to purl and remove it from the needle. And then we're going to go through the next stitch as if to knit, and leave it on the needle. We're going to keep doing that. Front needle as if to knit, remove it, front needle as if to purl, leave it on the needle, back needle as if to purl, remove it, back needle as if to knit, leave it on the needle, front needle as if to knit, remove it. Careful to not get it tangled up in your sock like I'm doing. So fun. Front needle as if to purl, leave it on the needle, back needle as if to purl, remove it from the needle, back needle as if to knit, leave it on the needle. And now, of course, we only have 2 stitches remaining, so we'll Go through the front needle as if to knit and remove it. You can get rid of that needle. Now go through the last needle, last stitch and the last needle as if to purl, and remove it from the needle. Now we have our nice little sock toe. So at this point, that actually doesn't look very nice. I probably should have done a 3 needle bind off. That's okay. We can kind of use this yarn to close it up nicely. This is the hard part. So, I brought that yarn through. This is kind of cool because you don't even really need to weave in the end. You can just kind of like pull that up into the toe and like shove the rest of it down there, and no one will ever know because it's just an ornament. Isn't that nice? So now what we need to do is we need to make our loop to hang it, which will be pretty easy. We can just use this tail here. So I've threaded our tail into our yarn needle. We're just going to come right down here through the cuff and create a nice little loop there. And then what I like to do is just go through a couple times. You could tie a knot here if you wanted. I don't think there's really a need to tie a knot because you can just sew a few times and it should stay put. I'll do it twice more. There we go. And at that point we can cut this, or we can just stuff it down here into our sock. There you go. Now it can hang nicely. So there is our cute little sock ornament. It can join our other sock ornament. You can see it's a little bit smaller than the first one, but that's okay. They don't have to be the same size. They're just ornaments. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make some cute little baby sock holiday decorations. And you can adorn your Christmas tree with little baby socks. And if you use scrap yarn from the socks you made yourself, your ornaments can match your feet. Isn't that charming? Anyway, I hope you all have a great evening, and I hope everyone has a really happy holiday, and that you have fun decorating your home with baby sock ornaments that you've learned to knit. I'll see you next time.